Good morning, everybody. This is the Week in Review. I think this is episode 7. I can't believe I've been doing this for 2 weeks. Anyway, some of you may recognize the background music. If you do, be a cool guy and put it in the comments below. I don't know, maybe I'll start doing giveaways or something if you get it right. So anyway, it looks like I'm flying solo this morning, which is fine. I kind of expected it. Um, so the Week in Review. Let me start off by saying, welcome from Windows 11. So, this week, what ended up happening was I gave up on trying to fix several updates in Windows 10, which I've been running since I think it was build 1800. So, I do a lot of the beta testing with Microsoft, so I get the advanced copies, and then we find the bugs, try to sort them out, and then, make you a product that's marketable so it can go out for release and data mine you and invade your life. That part's a joke. Or is it? Anyway, um, so that's the first thing I had to do because for some reason, about a month ago or so, there was an update, and in it, it broke the Windows Action Center, which when that first came out, I had no desire to use it. And it just wouldn't work. There was nothing in it that I needed. Like, there was a couple of extra tiles that I would never use, and at the time, like, my machine didn't have Bluetooth or whatever. But, as the years went on by, they became more and more useful. So I thought, okay, this isn't so terrible. Let's go with that. And I began to use it on the regular. And one day, that it just broke. Like, it just wouldn't load anymore. I would click the little button at the bottom, or little life hack if you're not familiar with it. If you hold the Windows key and tap the letter A, um, it it opens the Action Center, or it's supposed to open the Action Center. It doesn't always do it, but it tries to do it. So anyway, I'm trying to fix the scrolling chat. So every time I do this, it's like an exercise in futility. So like I keep trying to modify it so it works properly. That's why you're probably going to notice that it moves around a lot. But I assure you, I'm just trying to make it work. There. I think I remember the last time I had to make it bigger than it actually is. But at least you'll be able to see the last 5 elements of chat on the YouTube side. If you're actually watching from YouTube, the chat box panel on the right side of the video just looks as plain as it always was. Let's see. So, what was my favorite or your favorite operating system was XP Pro. What was mine? I liked XP. I think the most stable one I ever used was, I think it was XP. I think it was XP Media Center Edition. It had like all the chili peppers, and I ran that for years. Um, if I were to use my second one would probably be Windows 2000 because it was the first one that branched off from the old Windows style system to using NTFS, which if you were using like Windows 95 and 98 and then you tried to, walk up to a system that ran NT, you were clueless for the most part. You were like, this is all Greek. But they started making it more graphically usable, and it was an easy transition for most users after that. So probably that one. But I gotta. I was one of the few people who ran Vista Ultimate and never had a problem with it. Um, at the time, I'd built a machine where I threw every dime I had at it. So it was when they were new. It was a first generation Intel Core i7, the 960 Extreme, and at the time it was a lot of RAM. It was 16 gig of RAM on an EX58 motherboard, which I'm actually sitting right next to. Um, Vista was the first operating system that taught people if you throw more resources at it, it will use more resources. And the more you have, the more efficient it would run. So it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Like it worked fine if you had a ton of resources to throw at it. But yeah, I'm one of the few that actually got that to work without any issue. I ran that for years too. Like I held out uh, going to 7 because I thought, well, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Because at the time, all the features that I had added into my install of Vista worked just fine, and it was basically the same operating shell as 7 at the time. But there was that. So anyway, back to my Windows 11 thing. I think I'm running build like 2200 or something like that. It was the latest one. It's like 22 or 2300. Plus it automatically updates. But it's got its quirks, I got to admit. So like the first thing is it didn't fix my Action Center. And that was really annoying because generally when you upgrade your operating system, um, it fixes all the core files of the operating system. So the features that worked in your previous one should start working again in your new one. It didn't. So I fought that for the last 3 days. It appears that I got my Action Center back now, and the solution for me was there's a 10-step troubleshooting guide on different things to do, like using PowerShell and re-registering the apps and things like that. None of those worked. Then it was rename your user class file. That didn't work either. It actually broke my start bar because Windows 11 actually has this feature where all the icons in your task manager at the bottom of your windows, including the start button, it used to be at the bottom left corner, and in this one, in 11, they center it. And at first I didn't like it, but once I started looking at it, I kind of liked it, so I kept it. I thought, yeah, okay, the future's now. And the fix that I just did before going on air got my Action Center back, which is cool, but it moved all the icons back to the left, even though the setting says center. So there's a bug. I already reported it in, and after this episode concludes, I'm going to restart the machine, see if maybe it just fixes itself. Sometimes it does that. But the fix for me is I did the disk cleanup and removed my old install of Windows 10, which means I can't go back now. But that's fine because it gave me back 13 gigabytes of space on my solid state drive. So I thought, okay, that's fine. Because one thing I will admit, Windows 11 is the first, quote, upgrade I did, software wise, operating system wise, where it actually asked me how I wanted to do it. And it said, do you want to keep all your settings and apps? Do you only want to keep your settings? Or do you want to keep none of them? So the first one upgrades your operating system, re-registers all your apps in it, all your settings, all your cookies, all your safe passwords, and you know in the past that's never worked. It works now. Uh, every piece of software that I use, including OBS, including everything that I'm doing, on YouTube, it all works. All my apps work, all my games work, everything works. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. The second install, what it does is it doesn't re-register your apps and it just keeps your passwords and settings. I guess that's useful for some people, not me. And then the last one is like it wipes your hard drive and starts a fresh install, which is absolutely not what I want to do because it took me forever to get um, Power Director 19 set up the way I needed. So it works. Jury's still out on how efficient it is. I've only been running it for 4 days, but it appears to be okay. Like it's stable-ish, I guess. I mean everything works. So the only thing that doesn't is the same things that didn't work in my previous install, which was because of a update back in April. I tried to revoke the update, but it wouldn't take because Windows upgraded to a new version. So it was like the update that broke it was in Windows 10 version like 1900 and something. Well, at the end of April, there was a massive update that upgraded everyone's Windows 10 to version 20 something, 20 point something. So it revoked the whole list of updates. So I can't go back. And I thought, well, that's screwed. But anyway, the only problems I've got now are the same ones I had before. I got Action Center working. If you click the clock and calendar, that doesn't pop up. So that's really annoying. And if I go into File Explorer and I try to right click um, the quick launch tasks at the top left corner, Explorer will close it. Like, it just won't work. It doesn't crash. Like back in the day when Explorer would crash, it would like wipe out your start bar and then everything would have to reload back in the task manager. It didn't do that, but it does something even more annoying. You right click, it just sits there for a second and then it just closes the box. And you're like, well, what the hell? So I'm getting this like Gandalf you shall not pass bullshit, which really sucks. Anyway, let me catch up on chat. Good morning, Pink. Good morning, HVS. I did get the end block, and it cost me, I think it was $52 after tax and shipping, which hurts for a single piece of stamped steel. But what did I do with it? Oh, I know where I did with it. It's over here. So I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear this, but I got it. So yeah, that was $52. And the really funny thing is I'm just using it for feed lip or feed ramp. No, feed lip. That's right. I'm only using it to measure the feed lips width and like curvature because I'm not going to use it. I'm going to convert my Berthier, and I'm going to do a really cool This Old Gat episode on it. So what I'll be able to do is once I perfect the box that I'm going to build that fits in the original magazine, uh, I'm going to sell that on eBay as a kit so you can upgrade your Berthiers without ever needing these stupid end block clips ever again. Because those are a finite resource, and eventually when you get them, they're going to wear out. So it'll be $52 in the garbage can. So I'm going to try to develop a more permanent fix. And hopefully the way I affix it to the magazine, it'll be behind the stock line so you won't see that you converted it. Like people from the outside won't be able to tell. So hopefully that works out. But yeah, I got the clip, and I had a moment of weakness, and I thought I was going to buy another 4 of them because a guy that I buy a lot of my milsurps from put up a listing. So he had 4 end block clips. I put it in a bid for $80, and I said, that's all I'm in it for. And I walked away. 7 days later, I checked to see where it closed out at, and those 4 clips sold for $415. Some idiot paid $104 a clip. It's all yours, bro. Nope. Ain't worth it to me. I don't even have 8mm Lebel ammo yet. I've got some brass, but the brass was trimmed and formed so I can load it into my Italian Vetterli Vitali. So I used those converted brass just to check the end block clip, and they all feed just fine. But since they were flared differently, I couldn't chamber it into the Berthier. But the rounds fit in the clip, and I was able to like manipulate the bolt to push them out of the clip, and then I'd flip them out the top. And then when I got to the bottom one, I could hear it bottom out to the little trap door at the bottom of the Berthier magazine. And then when I flipped it open, it just fell out. So it does work. It's just I'm not going to stick with it. I'm going to measure it. I'm going to make my kit. I'm probably going to put it on YouTube, like show people how I did it. And then I'll say, hey, if you want to do this conversion, you can just copy the steps in my video. But if it seems like too much trouble, you can buy them here, and I'll just make a couple of listings on Gunbroker and sell them for like, I don't know. If I have to temper the steel or whatever when I do this, I don't think I will have to, but I'll probably sell the kits for like, I don't know, 25, 30 bucks, which, hey, now you don't have to buy $80 clips anymore, right? So I think some people will find that a bargain. Yeah, somebody really did need those clips. Somebody needed it just like an extra hole in the head because that's not worth it to me. I mean, they were unissued, super clean and nice, but he could have just, knowing this guy, he probably rust blued them and cleaned them up, which is fine. I mean, as long as he didn't mess the metal tempering or whatever, it's okay. But yeah, there's that. Um, I am officially a poor right now because,
Would you win?
well, you already know, but
For four hundred
so
dollars, you can make your own clips.
I, yeah, exactly. Like I got a friend who's a machinist, and he told me to lend him this one. He'll take all the measurements and he'll do it. But I told him what I wanted to do, and he was like, "Okay, you get that figured out and give me the prototype, and I'll make you those so you can sell them." And I thought, deal. But where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, so I'm officially a poor now because, well, let me finish this. So, $10 to $15 tops at shows. You're correct. That was the way it was about 3 to 4 years ago. I don't know what the hell happened. There's a guy in Australia. He's known as Doc AV, I think, on gunboards, and he's a machinist. And he used to sell them and make, or sorry, he used to make them and then import them to one shop, I think in Connecticut or New Hampshire, I think, one of those two states. And that guy was selling them to you for $15 to your door, shipped a piece. But if you buy like five or more, it's free shipping. I thought, oh, that's cool. That guy doesn't do that anymore, though. So, because COVID. So anyway, yeah, I'm a poor. I watched Othias's video on the Siamese Mauser that I once talked Scott out of buying a while ago, probably almost a year ago, because at the time we knew very little about it, he and I. And the more I dug into it, as Scott looks into guns for intrinsic value and history, I look at milsurps in terms of usability, then the history. So like he looks at it from the gun's condition perspective. That's a number two thing for me. The thing for me is brass, bullets, and reload data first. If I can't use it, I don't want it. So at the time, it looked like it was too difficult to do. You would need a cartridges of the World Book. You'd have to start reforming your own brass. We didn't know what brass it was going to use. We didn't know anything. Shoulders, trim lengths, nothing. Didn't know what powder to use. Didn't know what size bullet to use. Like, I thought, no, this is probably not worth going after because you'll never get to shoot it. Fast forward to this year, Othias puts out a video. He puts out just enough information that I was able to determine, oh, I can use Reform 7.62x54 brass. Oh, I can use the same 323 bullet that I use for my Turkish Mauser. Great. And then I found a couple of native Thai speakers who told me how to decipher the moon speak all over it on the receiver. And I got three different load tables. So I bought one. I bought a Type 45 Siamese Mauser, not a 46. I got the original.
Well, you mean other Moonspeak, because the Moonspeak you speak don't
It's all
translate over.
Moonspeak.
It's all Moonspeak over there.
Like, yeah, in Thailand, it's the dark side of the Moonspeak, and then
It's the
in
dark
Korea, it's the west side of the Moonspeak, and then in Japan,
Island,
it's
it's
just
only
the
the dark
Godzilla
side of
Moonspeak.
Moonspeak if you look underneath the skirt.
Yeah, ugh.
Now the
Well,
kanji's not bad.
no,
It's when you
in
get over to
Thailand,
the Thai
in Thailand,
area.
it's all squiggly Moonspeak. It's like,
Yeah. The same with the former Burnham.
well, if you look at
Right.
if you look at the Thai
Any of that.
script, it's almost like a drunk Russian was writing Cyrillic. With one
That's
of
never
those,
happened
with
before.
one of those doodle pens that
Yeah.
would like draw, squigglies as you turn the pen, like it would vibrate and it would make you all squiggly or whatever. So
Yep.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, I bought a Type 45. It's a battle rifle. It's not a carbine. And the beauty of it, I don't know. I'm on the fence with this because if you have a 45 or a Type 46, um, your gun is probably chambered in 8 by 50 millimeter rimmed. It's not 8 Mauser though. It's 8 by 50 Austrian Mannlicher. So I looked up if I can buy 8 by 50 Mannlicher. The answer is no. You can get the clips for 8 by 50 Mannlicher all day long, but this is not a clip-fed gun. So I thought, whatever. Um, if you have a re-arsenaled 45 or 46, it runs an 8 by 52 Spitzer, which is not 8 by 56 Mannlicher. So they have deviated from the original cartridge they copied, and they sort of hybridized the Austrian cartridge and like a Japanese cartridge to make the 8 by 52 MMR with a Spitzer. The beauty of this is I can use 323 Mauser bullets. Cool. No big deal. Those are available all day long. I already buy them for my Turkish Mauser. We're good. The brass, still a problem. You can't get properly head stamped 8 by 52 MMR brass. I checked with. If you don't know about this, there's a company in Australia called Bertram Brass, and they make obsolete cartridge brass. They're incredibly expensive because they sell it in bulk, like $500. And then somebody splits up the bulk and then sells them, in smaller quantities for like anywhere between $40 to $100 for like 50 or 100 of them, which is more fair. I missed out on some for my Beaumont because I wasn't sure if it was what I needed. So anyway, this is going to use, I believe, reformed 7.62 by 54 Russian brass. The guy that I got my Beaumont and Vitali brass also makes these. If you need rarer brass, when you're on Gunbroker, look for a guy. His username's like LGM. It's Little Green Men, but it's like LG. Or I'll give you the exact name. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I know when we looked at the Mausers, the closest ammo we could find was that reformed 8 by 53 Hungarian.
Yeah.
And there was like one guy making it, and it was for like 20 rounds, like $50.
Yeah.
Just for the brass.
Well, that
and
Buffalo
I said,
Arms
no.
Company, they used to make a bunch of these with like black powder loads or whatnot. But because COVID, they stopped all that because they're focusing on like mainstream caliber production. I actually talked to Flippy about this the other day, and he and I came up with the same conclusion. It was like for equipment and hardware, scope mounts, bullets, things like that, a lot of companies stopped doing we called it boutique hardware because it takes a person with particular tastes to want to collect certain things and shoot certain things and build certain things. Whereas like the mainstream ones the demand is there always. So like I think the way we equated it is like if you do milsurps, if you do like Black Hawk Down reenactment guns, try to build clones, if you wanted to do XM 177s, that's like a guy walking into a car dealership saying, yeah, I would like to buy a Stutz Blackhawk. Or I would like to buy a Fiat 1800 Grand Luce. And they would look at you and go, ooh, you're one of those. Okay, I'm going to have to look for it. It's going to take me a while. We used to make them every once in a while in limited production, but, demand's pretty low. And then, the mainstream ones are like, you walk into a dealership and be like, hey, I heard a Ford sells every 7 minutes. I'd like to buy one. And they're like, right this way, sir. Just choose a color. So that's kind of where we're at with brass, ammo.
Yeah, I would assume the same is true for PPU or SMB because they make some of the more obscure calibers too.
Yeah, like so far I've been able to find most of them through PPU. Like the 6.5 Arasaka rounds that I'm going to be loading today, it uses a PPU brass. So like that's not a problem. What's really funny though is the bullets I have to use. So, like for instance, the Carcano, the 6.5 Carcano for my 9124 Troop Special, it doesn't use a typical 6.5 bullet, which is a 264 thousandths bullet. It uses a 268, and it's the only one of its kind. Thankfully, PPU sells that, so I was able to buy it from. I can't remember the name of the company now. I think it's Groff's. I think I got it from Groff's.
Graf and Sons. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was them. I was thinking it was somebody else, but I'm pretty sure it was Groff's. Uh, but the 6.5 in the what gun was I talking about? Shit, I just went blank. Oh, in the Arasaka. Uh, you know what? That's another thing. The guns that I have on my wall, the only reason I remembered the Arasaka is because I just turned my head and looked at it. So that's kind of convenient. The bullets for that one are a 264, but what was funny was the bullets that I got for it, they're the correct shape. They're the bottlenose cartridges. They're Cupro nickel. They were originally Cupro nickel Carcano bullets, and they're the right length. They're the right weight, but they're 263 and a half. And I thought, well, how the hell does that work? Because the Carcano takes a 268. And the guy who sold them to me, he was like, this is World War One production Carcano ammo. So he took one of the bullets and he flipped it over. And he goes, you see how the lead's exposed in the back? I said, yeah. And he goes, the pressure from the round is going to squeeze up against that lead and kind of mushroom out the Cupro nickel jacket at the back to catch the rifling better. And I thought, okay, that checks out. I've heard that before. So even though the 268s that I bought from PPU are full metal jackets, they won't do that. They're already the correct diameter. Whereas these are already the correct diameter for the Arasaka, and any slack will be mushroomed slightly by the bullet forming as it goes down the rifling. So that works out perfect. I got a Japanese rifle that's going to shoot Italian bullets at an American douchebag if he ever charges at me with a knife or an axe. So there's that. But yeah, I'll be doing that later today. And the Siamese Mauser, I had won last Tuesday. Last Tuesday? No, this Tuesday. 5 days ago. Yeah, 5 days ago I won it. You would think that the damn thing would show up already. The guy shipped it. Oh, sorry. Let me take that back. I won it on Saturday. The week ago. I contacted the seller a week ago. I gave him everything he asked for. I called in the payment. And I got to tell you, this guy's wife sounded hot. But then I realized I was talking to a lady in her 70s. Weird, right? Like, she sounded hot. But her vocabulary was like she was in a Werther's commercial. And I thought, okay, she's not young. And then I heard her husband talking, the guy that owns the account. And he sounds like an old dude. So just very nonchalantly, I was like, so how long have you guys been in this business? And she goes, oh, gee, at least 45 years. And I thought, whoa. I just like went after his silver fox's wife. What the fuck? Anyway, yeah, so they shipped it. Like, the guy only ships out on Mondays. So I wanted to get all this squared away Saturday so it could make it on Monday. Monday came and went, and I was like, what the hell? Where's my tracking number? So I reached out to him, but before I sent it, I checked my email, and I got a message from the guy, and he was like, hey, I'm still waiting for your FFL info. And I wrote him back slightly snippy. I'm like, dude, I called you and your wife on Saturday. I texted you the FFL info, and I emailed you, responded back twice, once on Gunbroker and once in my email, to make sure that you got my FFL information. And then he wrote me back, like, probably close to midnight, and he was like, oh, sorry, I sent that to the wrong person. He's like, yeah, yours is all boxed up and ready to go. It's going out Tuesday, despite the fact that I only ship on Mondays. And I thought, cool, awesome. So it did leave Tuesday, but it's going to take 7 days to get here. From Pennsylvania to Texas. And that really annoys me because I've been working at my shop for 17 years. And in the beginning, I did logistics for the company. And they gave me a shipping chart. It looks like a map of the United States, and it's got these different colors around your point of origin. And from where we are in Texas, I can ship to anywhere in continental US in 3 business days. And this guy's is 7? So I'm chalking it up to because COVID. Anyway, Jeep Cherokee suspension system more advanced than Jeep Gladiator. Maybe.
Is that a Jeep Cherokee or a Jeep Grand Cherokee? Because he hasn't been specific about that.
Well, yeah, because that the the the
Because I'm
genital
pretty sure
wart.
the Grands can do a lot of things.
Well, the genital wart that Jeep is trying to sell us as a Cherokee is a joke. It's the one with the. I think they opened up the headlights, but it's an SAV. It's nothing like it used to be. And then the Grand Cherokee, yeah, okay, that's pretty capable. And then the Gladiator is just a transsexual Jeep Scrambler. Like it's still hashtag not my Gladiator. Fuck that. Because I can show you Gladiators. I've owned over probably 20 of them over time.
They're just trying to bring it back, but not
No, what they built was a Jeep Scrambler because
Yep.
it uses the JK Jeep front end from the Wranglers, and then they threw 2 extra doors on it for fat old men who used to talk shit to me about my long wheelbase full size Jeeps, trucks, Cherokee wide tracks, M715s, fucking Grand Wagoneers. Those, real Jeeps, real full frame Jeeps. Yeah, they used to talk so much shit about you're never gonna get that over that hill with that wheelbase like that. And then I'm the asshole who's always pulling them out when their dumb shit gets stuck all the time. Now they're fat old men and they want to carry their wives and their fucking kids with them, so they have to buy a 4-door Jeep with a wheelbase just as long as the ones that they used to tease me about. I'm like, huh, we've come full circle. So they have a Wrangler with an identity crisis and a bed in the back that's useless, right? All that's going on. And then if you look at a picture of a 1980 CJ8 Scrambler, you're going to go, well, that's not very original. So anyway, I did see one that I really liked. Scott sent it to me. It's going to the SEMA Auto Show, I think, this year. And it's the furthest thing from a Jeep you can have, though. So I think that one had the diesel engine, and it was bagged and lowered, and it had a Dana 80 dually rear axle with handmade flares. It was gorgeous. I thought, okay, that'd make a nice tow rig. Like, I wouldn't wheel it, but it's a nice tow rig. It was pretty sweet.
Oh, it doesn't have the ground clearance to off-road it.
Well, that thing's on airbag, so it'll rise up, but yeah, you still wouldn't want to wheel that thing. I mean,
Yeah, you wouldn't want to wheel on bags.
you scratch one of those 24-inch freaking wheels with the rubber band all-terrains, and you would just cry. Like, I have a friend who works for a company called Metra Electronics, and he's a distributor for them. And the dude's he's gifted. He really is. He's got the gift of gab, and he has talked his way into a career that pays him almost 6 figures, and he got it when he was like 25 years old, and he's like 36 now. So, like, the guy's got hustle, but he's still a good kid. So, like, or he was a good kid. He's an adult, but uh, he went to one of these shows with his F-150 that's built more than a Raptor ever could be. They took a standard F-150 and went nuts with it. His truck is insured for $500,000. That's how much crap they've got crammed into this thing. Anyway. So
what you're saying is Flippy would be jealous.
no. But he would look at the way it was set up and go, yeah, I probably think I want to do some of those. Some of that. I need some of that in my life. So it is what it is. Oh, I actually have panelists. I can go to regular view now. There we go. So, Tony, do you have your doctor's note for why you're half an hour late?
Nope.
Okay, that's fine.
I thought we were gonna just chalk it up to him being old.
Yeah. See, HVS is probably he's right. Like the current Jeeps are perfect for the type of driving he has to do, which is he lives on an island, but they have paved roads, but they've got potholes big enough to fit a cat into, and it's probably got a couple of little hill climbs here and there, especially if you live on the side of a mountain or whatever. Like it'll do that.
A cat
Oh,
or a small child.
the reason I brought up my friend Jonathan, that's what I forgot why I was going into that. They build trucks like they're all trailer queens. You know, he took like they built an F-250 and it's got 16 inches of lift and it's got track bars and like frame supports and that's like there's a gantry under this thing. It almost has a frame similar to a monster truck. If you've ever looked under a monster truck, they've got these gantries and beams everywhere. And at the end of the day, you lose almost all your ground clearance because of all this crap that you've got underneath it. Just so you can fit a 30-inch wheel with a rubber band mud terrain on it. Like, it's a 20 series profile tire with mud terrain knobs on it. And it's like, he's got under fender neons and fucking Nerf boards that have an electric step that comes down into 3 steps that telescopes, and they're pretty. Don't get me wrong, they're pretty. Like you will be the prettiest closet vehicle homosexual on the beach with it, but the fact of the matter is you're gonna scratch it and you're gonna scream like someone just ate your baby, you know? Like you're not gonna take that thing where you should be taking that thing. You know, I get super annoyed by people who buy four-wheel drives as status symbols for like metrosexuality. Go scratch the paint, you idiot. That's what you bought it for. End rant.
Oh, you mean like the guy that was off-roading that Ford Bronco Sport that rolled it?
Yeah, I told you about that. My coworker.
No, I seen the pictures of that.
Yeah, my coworker actually he was wheeling with a guy who showed up in a brand new Defender. They were in my friend or George's nephew was driving a TRD Pro Tundra. And this this dude shows up in a brand new Defender. Paper tags are taped inside the glass because they didn't even install the license plate mounts on this thing yet. Took it out to this place that they were four-wheeling, flipped it over in 5 minutes, totaled it. Called his insurance company, claim denied. I said, you know what he should have done? And I know I'm going to catch some flack for this, but if you're going to be stupid enough to drive a brand new vehicle like that, untested, stock, in a place where heavily modified four-wheel drives have a hard time, and wreck it, walk away and say your vehicle was stolen. Because then maybe you'll get your claim. But yeah, that dude, you know, he was like 3 ants short of a picnic. And he just totaled his shit. Roads are so bad, somebody bid $1 million to fix them. Good God. I could take you down 85% of the streets in town Houston, and it would like your liver would detach from like the mesenteries in your body holding it together. It's ridiculous.
He hasn't seen the roads in the South.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
just
no,
saying.
he has family down here. Like
Really?
sort of. Yeah, he does. But yeah, it's just
I would say the roads in South Carolina are worse than the roads in Texas.
Well, you would think that this quote infrastructure bill would fix all this shit, but it doesn't, does it?
Oh, it's not fixing any road whatsoever.
Ain't fixing it.
Yeah, I don't know how child care is considered infrastructure.
Yeah.
Neither do I.
Yeah, see, yeah,
I'm
suburbia.
not saying it's not good. I'm just saying it's in the wrong place.
Suburban U.S. Like, you take the Mason-Dixon line from there north, and people buy four-wheel drives because they have to get to work. You're absolutely right. I don't know if I could share this. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can pull this up.
South of the Mason-Dixon line, people buy them so they can go muddy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't share it. I don't think I can share it. Damn it. Somebody sent me a picture yesterday. I put it in trains, planes, and automobiles on the Discord here. It was a 1934 Model A, and it had something called the Snowbird track conversion.
Oh, I saw that.
Isn't that cool? So like they
They
bolt.
did that with a bunch of vehicles back in the day.
Yeah, well, Snowbird did conversions for a bunch of cars. You're right. Um, so it was this gantry system that bolts on two bogie wheels underneath the center of your frame. You have to remove the rear fender flares on a Model A, and then it has this attachable track system that you put over the front tire and the back tire, and it rides across the bogie wheels. So you have effectively turned your Model A into a tank, and it looks badass. But on top of that, the reason they did it was because that's how they delivered the mail in Montana in the winter. Like, just imagine it's like 1934 in rural Montana, and you just hear this click, 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 click of this little four-cylinder engine, and this Model A just cresting over a snowbank with tank treads. I'd be like, holy shit, that's so cool.
Well, did you see the one I linked you to this morning on Instagram,
Show
Sean?
something
Nah,
like this.
I literally just got up and then had this show prep. Let me see.
It's got a sauna.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I put in trains, planes, and automobiles. It said your
There-
stream was
there-
paused, but
there was another one where basically they replaced the front wheels, the front two wheels with skis instead.
yep, I've seen that. They do that in Russia a lot too.
Yeah.
So
Saw a lot of vehicles like that up in Montana
yeah, that one was
at that
You
one
needed
museum.
up there.
that's the mail carrier that they used. I think that's probably from the museum, to be honest. So
Just found it on
today's
Reddit.
solution is, well, let me take this back a bit. When I was into four-wheeling, like heavily, probably about 15 years ago or so, there was a company called Matt Tracks, and they built this system. It was like a pyramid or triangular shaped set of tank tracks. Each one weighed 900 pounds. So they sold you the lift and gantry push cart thing. So you could prop one up, wheel it over to your truck, and then slip it over your brake rotor. Because basically what you do is you just pull your tire off, and then you bolt this thing, the top of the bogie wheel for the top of the triangle would bolt into your brake rotor, and then you would effectively turn your vehicle into a tank. So I almost bought a set of those for one of my Jeeps, but I mean, where I live in Texas, it's useless. Like, I can't. You can drive it on the road up to 45 miles an hour because it's rubber tracks, but you wouldn't want to because the replacement treads on those things are expensive. So, like, you would probably bolt them on your truck or your Jeep, and then you would drive that vehicle onto a trailer and then take it to where you're going to four wheel. And then still, it'd be overkill for around here. But yeah, like if you had to deliver the mail in rural Montana in the winter, it's perfect. Or if you had to go out for, I don't know, beer and tampons in Prudhoe Bay, it's perfect. So, I guess let's see, we're at 43 minutes in. I guess we should go ahead and start doing the news, right? I mean, that's why it's the week in review. So I wish I had a funny story to end today with, and I was going to post it, but I lost the picture.
Did you hear what happened in the Czech Republic?
No, go ahead.
Czech Republic got their own Second Amendment this week.
Oh, that passed finally.
Yeah, they finally got that passed, and they wrote it in the sense to where the people have a right to defend themselves.
Hmm.
And
Now, is it going to work like the Russians have it?
I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. I haven't been able to get the actual wording yet, but apparently people in the Czech Republic said that it passed. And it's official now.
That's cool. So,
So
in Russia, you can keep and bear an arm. The stipulation is that if you want a rifle, the licensing fees and interviews and everything are perilously expensive and very invasive. So shotguns are incredibly popular in Russia because they are exempt from all those. Which is why if you are a subscriber to Tau Mouse, he will occasionally show you all these exotic shotgun slugs that come out of Russia, because that's how the Russians get around their right to bear arms problem. The
Also,
last guy,
conversions are popular.
yeah, well, the last guy made a video, or the last round that Tau Mouse did a video on, it's a sabot round, and the guy who invented it is in St. Petersburg, and he speaks passable English. So at the end of that video, he explains to you why he designed it, why they have to do it. And then actually, if you think about it, it's pretty beneficial in the end, because if it's a sabot round, then all you have to do is continuously modify your projectile shape and your sabot to fit a smoothbore shotgun. It gives you sort of like a Medusa M47 type gun, where you can pretty much put anything that'll fit down the barrel in one. And that's kind of cool. I mean, I'm sure it's limited on range, and like the round that they tested yesterday, they got it up to 1,300 feet per second. It flew straight and true, and it didn't penetrate body armor, but it probably made you wish you were dead with the deformation. That does not seem comfortable.
Well, I've seen the shotgun conversions for like the SKSs over there, where they smoothbore them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of cool. I would actually like to get one of those.
Well, you know what I want to do with an SKS, but I'm not going to talk about it on air, because one day if I do it and I show it off, people are going to be like, "That's the coolest and stupidest thing I've ever seen. I gotta have it."
There's also another thing I saw over there in Russia where they've got their for this is only for commercial / civilian sales,
Right.
and basically they took the AK and made it to more like an AR, to where you can swap it up or up between 223 and 545.
Huh.
You mean like the M10M did here?
It's actually no. You can no. It's literally you can unbolt an actual upper off and then put one on.
So they
Yeah,
they
M10M
split
did
the
the same thing.
receiver on an AK essentially, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's I forget the name of it. If I
Except
can
they actually
pull it
made theirs work.
You know, it's funny that you mention that, because I have this joke where I tell people, Mongolians are what you get when you take Russian soldiers and put them in the middle of nowhere to guard against indigenous peoples. Because if you think about it, Mongolia is the buffer zone between mainland China and Russia, isn't it? And if you look at Mongolians carefully, they have a lot of Russian facial features, but they also sort of look like Chinese.
They also have the slanted eyes of Chinese.
Right. So, and if you go to Vladivostok in the far east of Russia, I've actually been there. It's even more so. They look like Russians with Japanese facial features. And it's what happens. You put people within close proximity to one another, and somebody's going to be fucking. I'm just saying. But this thing that you're talking about with the AK and the AR, it's the same thing, isn't it? We build ARs in 7.62 by 39 with banana mags. They're building AKs that are in 5.45, which is close enough, to 5.56 in terms of size
Oh no, they
and
make
shape.
full-on ARs over there.
I know, but they're building split apart receivers, and it's like, these are Mongolian guns, aren't they? Theoretically speaking, like somebody should just, build it and go total weeaboo with it and call it the Mongolian Chop Squad. Which, if you've ever seen Beck, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, they just call it the Mongolian Chop Squad. Boom, done. It's a split receiver AK.
It's split receiver AK. It's the AKV 521.
All right, you got a picture you can share?
Just from the YouTube video.
Well, pause it and share it, and we'll take a look. If you can get it, clear, whatever, I'll show it off. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. See if I get it.
Yeah, cross-pollination,
Can
exactly.
you see that?
Hang on, we pull it up.
That's it right there.
Hold on. That's not bad looking.
The upper comes off, and you can replace. And the barrel comes with it. And
So
you can
that
replace it. It goes. It's in 549, 545 by 39, and then it also does 223.
So that sort of looks to
And that's
me.
for the civilians. That's for the civilians over there in Russia.
That's awesome. That looks like a cross between a Galil, an AK, bits of an AR, and the Daewoo K2.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's a lot of cross-pollinating, but that's pretty cool.
And look, they still were able to preserve the bayonet look too. You gotta love that.
Yeah, because we've always got to do that bayonet charge.
They don't have it in there, but you can also see they still have the mounting for the cleaning rod too. So.
Yeah, because just the other day I was sitting there getting ready to do a bayonet charge against all these illegals crossing the border, and I thought, man, I wish I had a bayonet lug on this Beowulf.
I get rifles with bayonet lugs on them all the time, and if they don't have ones, I go and order one because that's just what I do.
Scott sent me an Edelweiss listing because he knows I want these. The only bayonets I really want are engineers bayonets, the sawbacks. And the one he sent me,
it's a pricey game.
Yeah, it cost more than the Swiss rifle I was going to put it on. I thought, no fucking way. Just no way. I paid $310 for my Swiss 89 straight pull. And you saw the video. I restored it. It turned out perfect. I mean, okay, there's dark spots on the buttstock because that's how the mold got in, but I mean, otherwise it cleaned up just fine, and I resealed it, and I think I paid $310 for it, and this bayonet was like $389. I'm like, nah, not feeling it. Play nice, I do not, but somebody in my panel wants one. Not gonna name any names, Scott. But
I didn't even see what Play Nice asked.
I don't even know what you're talking about, and I know it's automatically Scott.
Yeah, he wants a Galil, but only if it's in green.
Well, I want a Galil only if somebody actually steps up and starts making fucking mags for it.
I want a Hill and Mac STG 44 only if they would step up and fucking build them.
They are shipping, actually.
Yeah, well, I can't get my local to commit to it because he doesn't trust them anymore.
I don't blame him.
If I get one, I want one. If I get one, though, I'm probably going to buy it in 300 blackout because it's the closest thing ballistically to that 792 30 something round.
No, actually, it's not.
Well, physical size and shape.
7.62 39 actually is.
You're right. That's the one. I think I still want it in blackout anyway, though, just for an American caliber. But you're right. I think I made that misnomer before, too, and I think that's how you told me about it. Sam of Anarchy wants an HP G36C.
7.62 by 33 Kurtz, I believe.
Does Jared still have his Tommy built?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, Sam, if you want the Tommy built G36 type thing, hit up Rupan. Maybe he might be willing to part ways with it if the money was right. Like, he'll send you pictures and everything. The dude's totally straight up, so, like, make him an offer. Maybe he'll say, sure. Or maybe he'll be like, nah, I gotta do it like he would. Listen, guy.
Now, I didn't even need this, but I ordered it anyways because it was cheap. I picked up one of the East German pebble stocks.
Oh, is that what you posted the picture of? Yeah. I thought you just bedazzled it with like those little rhinestones.
I told Scott that I had an extra one. If he wanted one, I could have just sent it to him.
I'm sorry.
Well, this one's brand new in the package.
I looked at that picture
you put. I was like, send it.
I thought you just bejeweled one with those little things that women do on their cell phones. Because when I saw this, I was like, what the hell is this?
Have the pebbling on the stocks. I've got one on my AK, so.
I have no idea why the hell they did it, other than East Germans.
East Germans, they were trying to texturize it.
Yeah, it's because it feels very good on the skin.
That's not even a good copy of tile.
That sounded more Russian than East German.
Yeah, but that's who their overlords were at the time. All right, I guess we'll do the news. We've been here for an hour. Let's do the news. So, your favorite boy at the ATF. His name is David Chipman. This douchebag. This shitlord right here. So I have two stories regarding this guy. So this is the first one. And what this is saying, I'm going to hit this from two different angles. House Republicans are pushing to impeach David Chipman before he even gets the job. Like, they're just like, no, no, and no. Go away. And I have to agree. Like, just fuck off, dude. You killed children and stood over their smoldering bodies.
They're at least doing their job right now.
Properly.
No,
really?
That's debatable.
Yeah.
It's debatable, yeah, but at least they're doing their job.
So the reason I brought it up is because he doesn't even have the support of the party that's trying to put him in there. And I'm going to give you the names of those who are not supporting this, because you need to thank them despite the fact that they're not even part of the party that most of us follow. I'm not going to say we're card-carrying conservatives or Republicans. I'm just saying we're definitely not liberals. So if you want to thank somebody when this guy gets shoved out of the way and not get the job, you need to thank Senator Joe Manchin, John Tester from Montana, Kirsten Sinema. I'd so motorboat that. Angus King, Bob Casey, and was it Jeannie Sheehan? Those are your Democrats who are saying, "No, we can't support this guy."
Well, Sheehan knows if she votes for him, she will not get reelected in New Hampshire.
Right. But
because New Hampshire's a very pro-gun state.
The thing I just find really interesting is the only thing that Congress does in a bipartisan way is agree that this guy's a shitlord. And that's fine. I'm cool with that. Like, that's cool. Come together on the fact that this guy is useless. Well, like even Chuck Schumer's backpedaling on this guy now.
I don't know if this is true, but it just came out. They were talking about it on another Discord last night.
Mm-hmm.
That somehow Chipman might have accidentally been talked into doing a desktop. I don't know if there's any truth to it. I can't verify it. That's just something I heard last night.
Nah, he probably just had his phone on and watching one of Yankees chats.
Well, he could have been watching the other guys.
Could be. All right, let me get this douchebag's face off my screen because I can't stand the look of him. All right, so let me make sure that the comments aren't talking about this for now. New Vegas strip club accepts Bitcoin for lap dances. So instead of like Duke Nukem style, shake it, baby, you're just sitting there waving your iPhone at her. All right, next story. Biden has basically said the quiet part out loud. So he wants to ban everything. So I think it was Teddy the other day was trying to ask me, did you know that Joe Biden had a town hall this Wednesday? And I said, nope, sure didn't, couldn't care, couldn't be bothered. Anyway, he did say the quiet part out loud. I've got it highlighted here. How he's talking about he wants to ban everything with high capacity. He wanted to eliminate assault weapons, which, you moron, none of these are assault weapons because they're not select fire. He didn't want it to have the ability to fire 20, 30, 50, whatever, especially, or whether it's a 9mm pistol or a rifle. It's ridiculous. So if it's semi-automatic and it's 9mm, he's giving you a good hard look right now. So what better reason to go buy a 10? Anyway.
Joe, you're old, but you're not founding father old, so don't try and reinvent the Constitution.
Well, if he's founding father old, he's already dead. So
Exactly.
let him be.
Well, I'm crossing my fingers on that one.
One can only hope.
Yeah. Really.
He
So
stumbled so much in his talking that whole town hall. I mean, you could tell he was just out there.
He didn't have his handlers in his ear.
Did you hear
I honest to
the
God
numbers?
believe that.
The numbers of that town hall were a record low. Like only 1,000 people showed up for it.
Oh, he got heckled. He got heckled to death at that thing. Or was that the day after?
No, that was that town hall.
It was, right?
Yeah.
So it was low turnout. His detractors were there, and they made him look like an idiot, which is not hard to do.
Not hard to do. I mean, just give him a microphone.
So, I've probably mentioned this in the past, but one of my foibles growing up was I couldn't do public speaking. I was very bad at it. I was very anxious, and I didn't want to do it. It's like an old childhood fear. And now you can't shut me up, right?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, even though Biden's a bumbling idiot, he has a... What the hell? He has a earpiece in, and somebody's constantly talking to him. Whether they're giving him advice, whether it's the Secret Service saying, sir, you need to step to the left or whatever, he's got one of those. And at this town hall, he couldn't even get his words out properly, just like, Pink was saying. Because he can't understand what he's being told. It's sort of like public speaking, right? You can have your speech on index cards and stand at a podium and sound like an idiot because you still can't read and process and then send that signal to your mouth to say what's on the card. He can't even take what he's being told in his ear. And truth be told, that is not an easy skill to have anyway. Because if you're at a town hall and the host and the moderator is asking you questions while someone is in your ear trying to give you the answer at the same time, you have to separate the two but process both simultaneously. And you're asking a feeble, crippled, sundowning old man to do that. It ain't gonna happen. Anyway.
Which is why he didn't campaign.
He did.
But yet he got the highest, not really.
He did from his basement.
Not like Trump. Yeah, exactly. Which is why they didn't let him out of the bag.
Dude,
out of the basement until after the election.
HVS is saying that Biden can't even organize a sock drawer. I'm sorry, he can't even organize his bowels. Like, he can't do the morning glory without a walker and two Secret Service agents.
He can't organize a paper bag.
Yeah, he's about as sharp as a bag of wet hair. So anyway, there's that. Let me get this off the screen. This is actually going pretty well today. So I need a third monitor because of the way I do this show. The way I set up everything. So
yeah,
let's see.
You do.
Here's the third thing that I got put up here. Well, okay, let me put this in as an icebreaker. Did you guys know that the Olympics started?
Mm.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, kind of, but
yeah, I did.
And China won the girls' competition for
Google
air
has
rifle too.
This mini game, this Japanese mini game on Google right now.
I saw that
for the Tokyo Olympics.
It's pretty well done, actually. Now,
yes, and I'm like, I must be dreaming because this can't be real. And apparently, it is real.
They did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, it's all right. I beat it.
So I know that I knew it was going on because I'm a FIFA and World Cup soccer fan, and so I knew that the soccer matches had already begun before the opening ceremonies because they have to get so many matches in for the quarter or the semis and the quarters and then the finals. It's like there's not enough time to do it unless they start early. But as a joke, the notes I left was, "Did you know the Olympics already kicked off?" No, me neither. Well, sort of, because it's disputed now. So I'm going to preface it with that because I can believe either version of this. Uh, the was it the IOC banned the kneeling protests during your national anthems, right? At the Olympics, they were like, take your domestic problems somewhere else. That's basically what they were saying. But there was a story that broke Wednesday that said that the women's national soccer team knelt in protest before the match started, which is exactly a direct violation of what the IOC said. But here's the weird part. Part of the Swedish team did it too. All the referees did it too. And I thought, what the hell is going on? You were told you can't do that, and now all of you are doing it. So 2 days later, a dispute story came out saying, well, actually, it was organized and it was agreed upon that everyone was going to do it together. And it was before the national anthem. But they never showed a picture of them standing up for the national anthem, so it can't be verified. Either way, the U.S. women's national soccer team got their ass handed to them 3-0 by Sweden. When is the last time you ever heard of Sweden accomplishing anything in the World Cup? They are not a soccer juggernaut. They're just not. When you hear about European soccer, it's usually Germany or the Netherlands. Team Orange, which is my European choice of team. Team Orange. Woohoo!
Oh, Denmark's done all right every now and then.
Yeah, Denmark has too. But I mean, like, you always hear about the Germans, the British, and the Dutch. That's it. Like, or sometimes the French too. French are pretty good too. But you never hear about Sweden having a destructive, awesome team. Like, they never make it usually to the quarterfinals. Anyway.
They may have been practicing this year.
So supposedly the U.S. men's team lost 5-0 also. So yeah, we're off to a great start, aren't we? Woo!
Hey, you know, the United States has 0 medals so far.
Yeah, well, you know, they have 0 fans.
Go
they
woke,
have
go
0
broke.
people in attendance. Go
And
woke,
they have zero
go broke.
zero people in faith of the team. So there you go, par for the course.
My favorite story was that Japan has bankrupted their economy to the tune of $200 billion for an Olympics that nobody is allowed to attend. What a waste. Why didn't you just cancel the Olympics for 4 years? They did it in World War II. Like, they had to stop them for, a global war. You can stop one if there was ever a need to stop something for a global pandemic, that's it right there. Because Friday, 74 people tested positive in Olympic Village. No fans, remember. These are 74 athletes.
Because athletes are going to do what athletes do.
I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'll get into that. Well,
Sean, the reason why they didn't postpone it, because that required them to declare war on somebody.
Well, here's the problem. There's a female in the American shooting team that had to pull out because she tested positive. That's probably why the Chinese won that event, because our girl had to duck out. She had to duck out. So, shit, right? I hope it's not that chick that's been at like the last 6 Olympics, because that woman's incredible. I think she's a trap shooter, though. Okay, so there's that. I just wanted to throw that in there because that was more of an icebreaker of, well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Do a protest, get your ass handed to you. There's that. Sorry, Alex Morgan.
Hawaii Volcano Squad.
I just want to preface it with this, though. Alex Morgan, sorry, because you're like the perfect person on that team and everyone else is just social justice garbage. And if you don't know who Alex Morgan is, look it up. Keep your tongue in your mouth, though. Anyway, next story. Where did I put it? I left notes for this too somewhere. Oh, here it is. Andrew Cuomo gets away with murder again.
Are we surprised now? I'm not.
To the tune of, what is it, 9,400 people, right?
Last I had heard, it was
Or is it
like
over 10,000?
15,000.
Yeah, I think my figure is a little off. So yeah, I mean, technically he could be charged with culpable homicide. Indirect manslaughter type of a thing. So here it is. DOJ will not be launching an investigation into Andrew Cuomo's administration of what to do with old people during COVID. The fact that he had literally marched over 10,000 elderly people by order to their death. What does that sound like to you? Like, what does that behavior...
Reminds me of something that was going on in 1936.
Well, it sort of reminds me of a thing that tiptoes perilously of violating Godwin's law, but you can't not see the similarity. You just can't. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on this because I think that leather-faced
double standards is what it sounds like.
I just know that leather-faced asshole needs to die. That's all I'm saying. Because a person dies of a stroke somewhere in the world every 4 minutes, and if I had one question to ask him, is when is it your turn? Same thing I would say about Nancy Pelosi. When is your turn? Anyway, that's all I got for that one. Can you be fired? Can you lose your job for refusing to take what is considered an experimental vaccine? That's the question I pose to you. Because if you look at the current list of vaccines, only Johnson & Johnson's is an actual vaccine. It is a one-shot administration of a weakened form of COVID-19. And everything else is like a genetic absorption blocker, which I refuse to take because this may block the absorption of COVID-19. We don't know what else it could block. So I made this joke before in previous episodes, but in, say, 10 years' time, you're going to sit down one day and you're going to flip on the TV and you're going to see the offices of Sokolov and Sokolov still, and they're going to say, did you receive a COVID-19 vaccination 10 years ago and now piss tadpoles? Or had your butthole turned inside out? You may be entitled to compensation. That's coming.
No, they're exempt from any type of lawsuits against their shots.
Yeah, they say that, but think about the entity who gave them that.
I know.
They'll take it away if they can turn a profit on it. They'll do it, and they'll renege on that agreement.
How often does the government backstab people?
Every fucking day.
Actually, Sean, since we're talking about COVID-19 and viruses, do you know what researchers in Tibet, China, found this week?
Yeah, I heard.
Go on.
They found over 30 variants of viruses they have never seen before.
Super viruses.
Super viruses. Frozen in ice in Tibet. But there's one thing we can say for sure.
What's that?
We know those viruses came from China.
How dare you? Calm down, Greta.
This is serious. They found 30 viruses, 15,000 years old. And all I'm thinking is, this is how the zombie apocalypse starts. Because they've never seen these before.
Depends which movie you're watching.
Well, okay, since we're on that, did you know that there are only 3 infectious diseases laboratories? I think it's their course of study has to do with, like, I think they called it feasibility or usability. So basically what it is it's 3 clinics in the world that test the weaponization capabilities of viruses. One is in Wuhan, China. Don't ask me where the second one is because I don't know. But the thing that scares me the most is the third one. It's in Galveston, Texas, 61 miles from where I'm sitting.
I was gonna say Fort Meade.
Galveston, Texas. I was like, now I just got another reason not to go swim around in that nasty brown piss that they call the Gulf. Like,
I would assume the third one that you don't know is somewhere located in Russia.
Maybe, I don't know.
Because they had a very, very active program.
I'm not gonna claim to know that one. I paid it. I stopped listening when they said Galveston because my mind just went.
Yeah. but with this, 30 more viruses that no one's ever seen before, 15,000 years old.
Yeah.
It's the start of a bad zombie movie. I'm telling you.
Well, didn't they find they drilled? I think it was 2 miles down into a frozen over underground lake in Antarctica, and they were finding bacteria and living things in the water that haven't been seen in millennia.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's either we're all gonna turn into Superman or it's gonna be The Walking Dead. I mean, one or the other.
That's it, man.
They just had that documentary, that came out this past month, The Tomorrow War. Shows you what's underneath those glaciers. You're not supposed to mess with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they're
where those
viruses in China.
You know where they're at? They're up here in Ohio, being tested, being looked at.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a good story about that. I think maybe it was Ohio. Somebody caught a 350-pound sturgeon the other day, and it leapt out of the water like a tarpon. And he caught it on camera. Like the moment that it breached the water, I guess somebody was filming, and he caught it on camera. It was gorgeous. Like he just giant dinosaur of a fish leapt out of the water. Entire 350-pound body, just whoosh, straight out like it was nothing. And everyone was like freaking out on the news about it. Anyway, I just thought it was a cool story. So yeah, the reason I brought that up, fired for not taking the vaccine. You all work different jobs. That's why we all get along, because we're a kaleidoscope of people with different careers. Apparently, you can be fired for not taking the experimental vaccine if you work in the NFL. That's right, because the Vikings' assistant coach was fired. They politely said that they have, quote, parted ways. He got fired. They were like, listen, we're going to have everyone take this vaccine so we can have a regular season this year. You need to take it. And he was like, channeling his inner never enough ammo. And he was like, go fuck yourself. And they were like, if you don't take this vaccine, you can't be a coach here. And he said, that's fine. Suit yourself. And he walked out. And that was it. And then for PR, they were like, they have mutually parted ways.
No, not mutually.
What utter bullshit, right?
Right.
I thought there was nurses already being fired.
Huh?
I thought there was already nurses being fired because they weren't
healthcare workers.
Well, yeah. But I guess this is like the first major, earth-shattering, multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar league or whatever.
Right.
They care less about the NFL.
No, I haven't watched the National Felons League ever since Tom Brady left the freaking Patriots anyway. I know he got his new ring, and I know that new ring has 310 diamonds on it. Jesus Christ.
Awesome.
Yeah, it does look good. I saw the ring.
I like some of his Patriots rings better. But
how many does he have now?
7.
Okay, so he needs 4 more. Don't tell me. I'm not going to tell you where the last one goes.
That's gonna. I want to see the guy that has to measure him for that.
Yeah, but he's gonna be like, "This is the secret to natural male enhancement. You just hang a ring that's got 71 carats of diamonds on the end of it." Super soldier to super football player to just making Ron Jeremy walk away in shame. Anyway, what doesn't that guy have? Everything's fallen into his lap.
He's gotten Leo DiCaprio's sloppy seconds.
Ooh. Oh, question. Uh, isn't he our age?
Yeah, he's our age.
Like exactly our age?
I don't. He's
42,
42,
right?
43,
Okay.
something like that.
Well, no, the reason I did that was because the other day somebody mentioned Tom Brady to me at work, and I thought, why do I keep thinking he's an old man if he's the same age I am? So, like, I started rewinding my brain, and I'm like, Tom Brady went to high school at the same time I did. So he had to deal with kickers and headbangers and preppy chicks and dudes who wore Abercrombie shit all the time that thought they were better than you. He had to eat school food pizza at the same time I did. You know, it was like he was listening to like Nirvana and Garbage and fucking Heather Nova and shit, and I'm just like, he's us,
Hmm.
but we are not him.
No.
Because that dude's
No, he
got
was probably the preppy one wearing the Abercrombie and Fitch.
maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna
Probably.
say I could see him being the jock type.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? I mean, he seems like a nice guy, so I'm not teasing him. I'm trying to visualize I'm the same age and our lives took totally different paths.
And people get all the breaks.
Well, I could just, I could show him my gun wall and he could probably show me his gun museum. Like, never mind.
You certainly got the money for it.
Yeah. I'm like, just never mind. Like he owns Rock Island Auctions or something. All right. So, my last news story of the day. I don't know why I captioned it like this. Let them eat cake. Just not in Maine. Because apparently it's made out of a shitload of cocaine. So, yeah, the Maine DEA found 4 pounds of cocaine in what was supposed to be, what did they call it? A sheet cake? What the hell's a sheet cake?
It's a big square sheet, like sheet pan pizza. You ever had that?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Okay. Okay. So it's just a simple form of cake.
Yeah.
Okay. So
But
yeah,
huge.
they got tipped off by who knows what, probably dudes who got ripped off from this guy, right? They were like, yeah, he's moving drugs because now I can't move mine because he undercuts us, so I'm gonna narc on him. So anyway, this dude, 25, decides to put 4 pounds of cocaine in a sheet cake. Gets a woman who's like in her 30s. They're probably knocking boots. But they crossed the border into Maine. Well, they were tipped off, so they got pulled over, and they found this sheet cake and like $1,900 in cash. Now, I'm sorry, I don't have the cocaine, but if I got pulled over crossing into another state, it's probably Oklahoma, and if I got $1,900 in my pocket, and the asshole sheriffs of Apopka, Oklahoma, go fuck yourself with your bullshit 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, would say, why do you got all this money? And I'll be like, I'm going to Wanamaker, bitch. So $1,900 isn't that big of a deal. But yeah, 4 pounds of cocaine in a cake. Let them eat cake. If I was that trooper, I would force them to eat it right there on the road. I'd be like, look, you can go to jail, and I can set your bond for $25 million, and I can ruin your life forever, or you can sit here and eat that entire cake. And if you survive and your heart doesn't explode, I'll let you go. I would do that because that scene is exactly what Bumpy Johnson did in Hoodlum when the kid poisoned his ice cream. And he was like, I don't like nuts in my ice cream. Who made this? And then the owner was like, this new kid. He's like, bring him over here. He sat the kid down and he goes, eat it. And he literally made this kid poison himself to death with the rat poison that was in it. He didn't kill him. He forced him to eat the evidence, though. And then the kid obviously would have died. And he walked out. And then he told the owner, from now on, you're the only one who makes my ice cream. Which basically meant, don't make this mistake a second time. Yeah, I would make that guy eat all the cake. I would. Because that's how you stop stuff like this, if you had to. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, do you like that? You like that play nice? I have a movie reference or a quote for just about everything. But yeah, that's what I would do. And then when like the district attorney was like, hey, this paperwork says that you found this cocaine-laced cake in $1,900. I'd look him right in the eye and go, what 1900? What are you talking about? And then just adjust my foot in my shoe that's got extra padding in it at the arch support. Just saying. They're not going to miss it. That's the news. That was my news of the week. I have to admit that it was a little more challenging to get the news this week because for me it felt like a slow news week. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I added a couple things in.
You did. It's just when they start posting crap about the housewives of Beverly Hills, you know that there ain't shit going on. If they can make news out of that, or Meghan McCain arguing with Sonny, whatever the fuck her name is, about the Second Amendment was created to preserve slavery. Really? Did y'all know that?
Really?
Pretty sure the Second Amendment was enshrined before the slavery was in the U.S.
No, because it was born in it. This country was born with it. We can't deny that. It's just the fact of the matter is it wasn't invented to preserve slavery. It was the people's check and balance against a tyrannical government. Government has its own checks and balances. That's why we have a bicameral government or Congress. There's one house checks the other one back, stuff like that. Supreme Court checks the other two. We have these in place. But the people didn't have a check and balance against the government that may be overbearing or tyrannical. Hence why the Second Amendment was there. So you can keep and bear arms and assemble and create your own militia if need be. You got antis going in there saying the militia is supposed to be a well-organized militia, which means that the government is in charge. And it's like, no. A well-organized militia, by definition, is just that. It's made by the people, and it's well-organized, meaning they're not going to be charged with coercion or treason just for assembling and doing drills. That's what well-organized means. You organized the people you put together. That's all it meant. But, yeah, it's not to preserve slavery. It's for us to tell the government, stop it. You have overstepped your authority, and now we're asking you nicely to leave. Which, we almost got to do that back in January. Problem is it wasn't well organized because I don't think the people that participated in it didn't think that far ahead. And I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm just saying that they didn't plan far enough ahead. So the whole thing fell apart by the time it got into the congressional building. Because now it was like everyone's spread out and everyone's going, well, now what do we do? You should have thought of that before you did it.
Everybody was sightseeing.
Yeah, and taking souvenirs with them, right? It's like you had since November, knowing that your guy lost, whether it was nefarious or not. I'm not debating that, but you had since November to plan what you were going to do at DC on Inauguration Day. That was like over months, maybe 2 months, right? All of November and almost all of December and part of January. So that's on y'all. Sorry. Like, that fell apart because you didn't have a good leader. Like, y'all should have blew up my phone and been like, yo, what do we do? I'd have gave you a better plan than that. That girl wouldn't have gotten shot through the damn window and killed either. I'd have been like, don't climb windows. First of all, don't climb windows. But whatever. Hindsight, right?
2020.
That felt good. Anyway, yeah, so that's all the news I got for you guys today. So I'm going to leave the floor open for you guys now. What do you got going on this weekend? Anybody? Nobody? None of y'all doing shit this weekend, really?
I get to mow yards today, and just going probably gonna go out and take some video with the drones.
Nice.
I may hit a few of the gun stores.
Well, I gave my YouTube subscribers a break because, You know, I hadn't touched a drink since the end of May. I don't know why. Like, I know I do know why, and I don't know why. So I go to the grocery store about 3 times a week. They got this beer aisle, and I walk down it, and sometimes I'm in the mood for something, and I'll look for it. So far this summer, I go down this aisle, and I look at everything, and there's nothing I want to drink. None of it. Like, I'm like, no, that gives me headaches. No, that tastes like cat piss. No. Like, none of it is, and none of that was what I wanted.
Tell me you picked up some bear claw.
No. See, the thing that I wish my local would carry is called Moose Knuckle. I think it's called Moose Knuckle. It's from Big Sky Brewery out in Missoula, Montana. And it's got a picture of a moose in a fighting stance. But Moose Drool, that's what it's called. Big Sky's Moose Drool. That shit is incredible. They don't sell it though. Only my local World of Beer has it. Um, can't get Golden Drac at the grocery store, but I suspect service will resume in 3 weeks because the Marzen style Oktoberfest beers comes out. And one year I filled my entire bedroom closet with cases of it, and it all disappeared before winter. Granted, my dad had a hand in that, but you know, like he found them and he was like, I was thirsty. And I'm like, why are you slurring your words? Oh, I got something in your closet. It was pretty good, whatever it was. I'm like, you drank my Oktoberfest. And he's like, no, I drank 12 of your Oktoberfest. Oh, shit. So anyway, yeah, I haven't had a drink since May, the end of May. And I've noticed that I've been recording a lot of YouTube videos since then. So I don't know, maybe the side effect is I'm productive. But I'm sort of in this rut right now with what I want to film next because I do these mini series for games, and I'm doing 2 games right now that need to be revisited several times. And I'm trying not to do them all consecutively because that gets boring watching the same game over and over and over. So right now I'm juggling between The Long Dark, which they have a disclaimer saying this is a work of fiction and don't take the survival techniques that you find in this game and apply them in real life because it can get you killed. And I know what they're doing. It's CYA. But the fact of the matter is and I covered this in that first series of that game. It does teach you basic survival. And it should be encouraged to kind of take mental notes of elements of it. Like, for instance, the best thing about that game is it teaches you orienteering because there's no map and there's no compass. So what you do is you walk around and you charcoal draw your surroundings, and then it starts drawing the map based off of what you've discovered. So when you first start, it doesn't tell you where you are. And then you look around and you have to start taking mental notes of physical attributes of the surroundings. Or if you find a building, you can say, I found this building, or whatever. And you have to figure out your bearing. So if you spawn in the middle of the day, you can't really figure out where you are yet because the shadows on the trees don't come up yet. And then you also realize, okay, this is supposed to be in the Canadian Arctic up north. So finding out whether you're facing north or south at noon, you can't. And because you can't figure out if you're facing north or south, you can't figure out if you're turning east or west yet. So like this game teaches you this because I spawned in this one part of the map and I look straight up and the sun at high noon is straight above you, even though you're that far north on the globe. And then I waited an hour and a half, and all of a sudden the sun was to my left, the sun was to my left, and the shadows were facing north. The shadow was northbound. So I was like, okay, if the sun is to my left because the shadows are to my right, then obviously the shadows are north, and the sun is to the south because we're that far up on the above the equator. So you learn these things, and then once you figure out where north is, then you can say, okay, well if that's north, if I'm facing that shadow, the left is west and the right is east. It teaches you these things. It's very clever because they don't tell you any of this. It's a game that gives you assumed knowledge, and what you don't know, you learn. And if you don't learn it, you die. So it's like when they say that you shouldn't take these things into account and practice, they should say certain things, not all of it, because they do teach you these things, and it's a very useful skill. And then they teach you, like the crafting menu, basically. And they teach you um, how to handle like blizzards and how to create basic shelters, things like that. It's like it's very clever. I mean, the game's been out since I think 2014 or 15, and it's constantly being updated. So that's why I did the video series in the first place, because a major update came out and I was like, "Oh yeah, I should touch on this." So, it's pretty cool. I do that one, and then I did RimWorld, which is sort of like it's like Sim World basically, you know? You get these little characters that look like those little Nintendo Mii's from back in like the N64 days or whatever, or not the N64, the game. No, it is N64 days. You get these little
No,
characters. And then you basically
the Mii's for
manipulate
Nintendo
everything about
Wii.
their lives. No, you're right. It's the Wii. That's what it was. Um, but it's pretty cool too because there's 4 different game modes. So the one I did was the original experience. It's called Crash Landing Survival, and you start out with 3 characters, and then you have to. Your goal is to try to get off the planet. Most of the time, I don't get off the planet. I build the thing so nice that I'm like, no, this is cool. We'll just stay here. But you don't get to complete the game if you don't. And then there's Naked and Afraid. They have one like that. They have another one where you're like, um, you're basically Jeff Bezos. Now that I think about it, because it's called The Wealthy Explorer, and you're by yourself. So you land safely, and you got all the equipment to survive, but you're all by yourself. So it's like the pioneering spirit at its best. And then they got this one that's tribal. So it's like your people are technologically dumb, and I guess you were like a population of slaves that escaped one of the other factions on the planet, and then you have to build yourself a civilization and then defend against the people that you ran away from, I guess. So I'm kind of looking forward to touching up on each one of those, but I'm still trying to keep it to only like 5 episodes. That way it's just like a taster. Because LPs are cool, but if you watch somebody play the whole game from the beginning to end, you're like, well, why do I want to buy it? I see how it ends already. So like, I'm trying not to do LPs. I did it with Ed Finley's games though, because that guy's a genius, and I keep telling people to go buy his stuff so he can keep making these things for us. But anyway,
Yeah,
yeah.
I saw a funny meme that it was after Bezos had went into space, and everybody's like, "Everybody get your costumes on now," and it's the Planet of the Apes. About a group pick from Planet of the Apes.
Nice. So what I'm probably gonna do this weekend, since I'm poor, I'm probably gonna do, much to my subscribers' happiness, is another reloading bench video, because it's not writer's block, it's gamer's block. I have like 15 or 16 new titles I could try to play, but some of them don't film well. Like I did that one called Inmost, and its color palette is gorgeous, but it's very one-dimensional and simplistic. It's black with shadows and like a kind of a ghostly blue haze, and it's a kind of a depressing story, but it's supposed to be because you're trying to determine what ended the world in the first place, and you're still a survivor on it. But I only did 2 episodes of that one just because it was kind of bleak and it's kind of heavy. And I think that if I played it too much, it would just drag people down and go, no, I don't want to play that. That's depressing. But it's very good. It's just, it doesn't film well. And I did another one. It was, I don't have that button on my desktop anymore. Damn it. I got this one called Lisa. And it's kind of funny because, like, the main character in it looks like Night Strike with the beard.
Wait, what? What?
Yeah. There's a character in the game I play
No.
called, yeah, the game's called Lisa. You're not Lisa, but the game is
No.
called Lisa. Yeah, you look like the character in it slightly. Slightly.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You've seen the game.
I've seen the game.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking out of your butt.
No. Let me be fair, though. There's more than one of those games. I got the last one. I didn't play the ones before it. And when I saw it at first, I was like, that looks like Mike. A little. Just a little. In pixel art form, though. It's not a dig at you. I'm just saying. Like, it reminded me of you. And I thought, huh. And I mean, truth be told, it's a noble story. Like, this dude, like, the whole world went to shit. And this dude survived with a couple of his friends. And you found the only female known to exist left. And it was a baby. And you raised her. And then the baby grows up to be a girl. And then one day you go out and you come back to your village and it's destroyed and all your friends are killed. And then the girl's missing. And then you got to go and find out who took her. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to breed with her to perpetuate the species. And it's like, you took her up as your daughter and you're trying to save her from that. It's a cool story. And like the color palette on that one's really good. Because it's sort of a pixel art version of Fallout New Vegas in a way. Like the color palette. Yeah, that right there. Let me jump in here real quick. I'll put it on the screen. That. Just a little. I'm not saying that's you. I'm just saying when I saw it, it reminded me of you when you got your beard all grown out and you have more hair. But yeah, it's a cool game though. Like, but it doesn't film well.
Oh, it's an older Night Strike.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. In the beginning of the game, you're right, because he had more hair in the game. And then the apocalypse happened, and then you wake up in that form there. And then you have to save the baby. That's now a woman. But it's a good game. Don't get me wrong.
I'm so insulted.
I adore the game, but it doesn't film well because there's these big gaps between events. And you know, a lot of games back in the day, they were very linear. You would go do something and it would like lead you to the next thing and the next thing. So you're constantly moving forward. In this game, it doesn't kind of nudge you in the direction you need to go. So I'm actually stuck because I have no idea what to do next. And I don't want to read a playthrough because it sort of takes away from the experience of discovering the next thing. So I've been stuck in that one for a bit. I'll probably come back to it, but
don't read a playthrough. There's this place called GameFAQs.com. Go read a walkthrough. It's
no, I
just
know.
text.
I know, but still, like
No,
doesn't too.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't because it's just text. It doesn't take away. It just tells you what to do next.
Kind of. You're right because they do them vague. They do them. They do the.
They do it vague, and they
vague.
just tell you do this, and then go here.
That's true.
That's it.
But I'm sure I'm near the end game on it too, actually, because I've got like 9 hours into it. It's not physically a big game in terms of space.
Why did he lose an arm?
I don't think he did yet. Not where
right
I'm
there.
at.
He didn't have a left arm.
That's after. I don't know. I don't think I got to that point yet. I'm pretty sure I'm towards the end of the game though. Like, I'm so far into it, and the game's physically not big in terms of hard drive space, so it's probably close to the end. What's kind of funny is one of the videos I did, I think it was Anvil Saga. I didn't know where the end of the game was. So I filmed the first episode, 39 minutes or so, Then I played the second episode. It was a demo. Got to the second episode and it ended 8 minutes in. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. Because the game was pretty big, and yet it ended pretty quick. And I'm like, huh. So when that one goes full release, I can't wait to get it. And then Chucklefish Games did like a summer sale on Steam, and I just bought everything. I was like, give me all of it. And then they turned around after that one ended, and it was Final Fantasy franchise remastered pixel art. And I thought, huh. But the problem is every Final Fantasy game that's out there, I've already got 3 different versions of all of them. You can't refry it anymore. You can't redo what's already been redone 3 times. Sorry. Like, I'm happy with the ones that the way they were. And if you ask me which one my favorite one was, because I know, Mike, you're the same way. We started Final Fantasy from the beginning, and then there's another generation that started at 7. So, like, our opinions compared to theirs are completely different. 5 was the best one for me.
Yeah.
Because that's the one the United States never got.
I liked 3. The one that was like, what was it? 3 was like, what, 6 over there?
Yes.
Yeah. So I liked 3. Just because it was for the Super Nintendo at that point.
Yeah, and that was also 4 was, Final Fantasy, quote, 2 was 4 everywhere else. That was the first Super Nintendo one. And then what's really funny is 5 was back for the Famicom, or the Nintendo Entertainment System, and then 6 went back to Super Nintendo. So they seesawed back. But what was cool was 5's got the deepest story, and almost nobody's seen it. And I might actually do that for a Kickin' It Old School, because I started a new series where I play original old games. So I might do that for 5, because not very many people saw it.
Well, you know what you could do, and this is off the walls, but
go through every one of them.
You could just play, an RPG, and you and I could just hang out and talk about it.
Yeah, we can do that. The thing with Final Fantasy that kind of annoys me, they don't really tie together. Okay, wait, let me start over.
Those are own stories.
If you did it from the beginning like you and I did, 1 doesn't go to 2, 2 doesn't go to 3, and so on and so forth.
The only time they started that shit was with
9. 9.
No.
Because 9 had a 9-1 and a 9x2 or something like that.
No, that was 10.
Oh, 10 to 10-1, 10-2.
10 and 10-2.
Yeah. But that was because you played one character and
9 didn't have that. I looked. I checked. 9 didn't have that. It was only 10.
Okay. But yeah, they don't link together. They just share similar elements to each other.
No.
The same thing happened with...
you're going to get mad at me because I'm going to say this right now. I mean, I've played all the Final Fantasy games. I liked playing them, but it was not my favorite Square RPG.
What was?
Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% behind that. Absolutely.
And while a lot of people didn't like the sequel, Chrono Cross, because it didn't deal with time travel, it dealt with dimensional travel. I still enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was an okay sequel, because you have to realize that seldom are sequels ever better or as good as the first game, or the first movie, or the first book.
Sort of like movies.
So I took it as a decent sequel. Yes, they could have fleshed a few more things out. I'll give you that. But overall, I enjoyed playing it, and I go back and play it every now and then too.
I need a remaster of Chrono Cross, because the original one was PlayStation 1, and it just feels really clunky to me. But if they did a remaster, I would probably play it. The thing is, though, is there was a sequel.
You could just use an emulator.
I do.
An emulator on your computer.
No, I do.
And just set the video settings to where it makes it look more modern. And that
I do, but it's still it's I need a remaster. They're remastering everything else. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do it already. But you were saying that the sequels are not always good follow-ups. I will have you know, and I'm pretty sure you've already got
Not always. I mean, there are exceptions. I'll give you that. But
Crimson
most
Echoes.
of the time. Yeah, I know, but that was more fan done than...
It was perfect. Because it gave you everything that was missing at the end of the first one. And it was a continuation. So it worked out great. The only thing that I wanted that wasn't there was I was hoping you could play Janice's sister, Shala, and you couldn't. They wouldn't do it. They didn't. She was sprited in it, and she was still in Crimson Echoes, but she was still never a playable character, and that pissed me off.
Spoilers for anyone who hasn't played these games, but technically that's what Kid was.
Yeah, sort of, because they do touch on their original Chrono Trigger in that one. Yeah.
Because remember how they used the time egg to bring Chrono back?
Yep.
Same thing with Shala.
Yeah, and I know where they got that idea too. They tried to pull the same thing like they did with Full Metal Alchemist, where you cross over to the other world, in a way. It's the same principle, because Ed's father got pulled over to the other world, which was the United States and Europe in World War One, which I thought that was a fantastic place to put him.
See, I thought it was hilarious, how things ended up, in 1933 in Germany. That was pretty funny. The whole coup failed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, the what ifs.
Yeah.
Do you ever get to play Parasite Eve?
No,
Elaborate.
Parasite Eve. It's kind of like that was back in the time of
64.
Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, it was PlayStation 1, but it was around the same time as Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
It was a story about mitochondria and everything in the blood, and people were spontaneously exploding, and you had power, the powers from the mitochondria and stuff like that. But yeah, it was like a horror game.
Oh, it looks good.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're going to do an HD remake of this too.
With Parasite Eve?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Well, when that comes out, I will try it, because it does look good. See, I can finally talk games with people, and they're not going to vomit. This is awesome.
Not yet. But Pink is on the older side, so
he's us, dude. He's us.
No, he's a little older than us.
Well, actually, no. He's Scott and I. He's not you. You're still in your 30s.
My late 30s.
Still 30s.
Yeah, I think I had the Commodore and one before. What was the one before that?
Oh, dude, my segue was the Tandy T1000 with the tape player.
Tandies, I love the Tandies.
I can remember playing Pong on old black and white TV. It was.
God. That's you're either talking Atari 1200 or Amiga.
I can't remember.
And the very seldomly discussed Atari Jaguar. I had one of those. There was dudes selling them on YouTube, or not YouTube, eBay, and it was a bundle. It was a brand new, never opened, never sold Atari Jaguar, 2 controllers and 25 games, and he sold it for $100, and I bought it.
Wow.
I wish I kept it.
I wish I
game
still.
On that was Aliens vs Predator.
I had 40 plus games for my Atari 2600. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, Play Nice is like tape drive. On a T1000, you would turn it on, and it was just a keyboard that was a little thicker because the computer components were built into it. You would plug that in with, I think it was a 9-pin, 3/4-inch round serial cable. And then you would plug it into your TV, and you would flip this little adapter box to channel 3. Remember those? And then you would power it on, and then it would be a blue or a green screen with a flashing keyboard that said Tandy T1000. And then if you wanted to make a game, you would have to sit there and start programming it. So it came with a book that was about the size of a high school history textbook. So 600 pages. And then you would flip through, and it had hundreds of games. But you would have to sit there and type in that code for hours. And then you would say run, and then the name of the file. And if there was any errors in it, it would fail. And then you would have to relook at all the code, find the error, the typo, fix it, and then run it again and hope for the best. And what pissed me off was there was a game in that book called Ghosts. And it was a green background, and it had like, I think it was 12 headstones, sort of like the graveyard at the far west end of Legend of Zelda, where you find the magic sword. It had like a view like that. And I typed away for 5 hours just to play this thing. And it didn't work. And I thought, I better save this just in case. And then I can go back and look at it when my dad gets home. I was like 5 or 6 years old, right? So I plugged in, the tape drive was plugged in on the side of the keyboard. You would put in a cassette tape. You would have to press record and play at the same time, and then the pause button with your little finger. Then you would tell it to save, like you would type in save to whatever, let go of the pause button, and then it would record everything you wrote down. Well, just as I hit the pause button to start recording, the power went out. 5 hours in the toilet. I took that Tandy and I threw it across the room and it shattered against the refrigerator. Yeah, exactly. You know, you had one. Play Nice had one. He knows exactly how the code works. That is it right there. Anyway, 5 hours. You forgot like this one, right? Yeah. Yeah. Fuck that. I threw that thing across the room. It exploded into a shower of keyboard keys all across the kitchen floor. My dad came home. I was like 5 or 6 years old. And I was like sobbing. He's like, what happened to the Tandy? I told him what happened. And I was like, this is a piece of shit. Threw it to the refrigerator and it broke. And he's like, why'd you do it? So I told him what I did. I showed him the book. I showed him how I did everything for 5 hours and the power went out. And he looks at me and he goes, what a piece of shit. Let's go get you. He was like, let's go get you a Nintendo. Yay! God, I hated that. Fuck Tandy. That's why Radio Shack's out of business. Anyway.
Technically, they're still in business. They don't have any stores anymore.
Right. Man.
Because they decided to divest. You know, instead of having all the connections and adapters and whatnot, they decided to invest their entire company into selling cell phones. Good job, Radio Shack.
Yeah, you're right. The whole front of the store was that.
You went from being, the store to get connectors, adapters, converters, radio parts, computer parts, to we sell cell phones as our primary thing.
Yep.
And guess what? You became Smartphone or Cell Phone Shack, and then you went under because people refused to pay your high prices. Congratulations, you're idiots.
They'd put you in this like stupidly high cost fucking contract too. No, you're right though. I remember that. I would walk into Radio Shack. All the cell phone stuff was in the front. I would walk right past all of it because there was a sales guy there.
All the stuff I enjoyed going into Radio Shack for is now gone because you idiots decided to go into the smartphone business. Good job.
No. Mine, I would walk straight past the front where the sales guy was. I'd go all the way to the back wall. And the one that was by my house, it had this pegboard wall full of drawers. And there was a picture of each component on each drawer. And it was like capacitors, flyback transformers, resistors. They were all there. You would just pull each little tray open and grab what you needed. And they had this little like bag dispenser, just like you see at the grocery store for produce. And you would yank off a bag and you would drop it in there. And, that's how you did your component level work. And back then, I was probably in my early teens. And I was like, who the hell needs all this little shit? Everything's replaceable in modules now. But now that I do component level repair, I kind of miss it. Because once Radio Shack fell apart, I would drive to Fry's. And Fry's had an entire aisle of it. And I thought, this is great. But guess what? Fry's went out of business this year. Because of COVID.
No, it's not even because of COVID. Because I went into Fry's in 2019 when I was visiting Arizona, and half the store was empty.
Yeah. Well, okay. The
reason they blamed it on the Trump imports bans and whatnot, and I'm like, no, That wouldn't do this. You just aren't managing your company properly.
Well, okay, the reason I said because COVID is because everything is because COVID. Like, mark my words. 3 months from now, you're going to see a story or something like it that says
Because COVID.
David Chipman found face down in a bayou with a cucumber up his ass and 4 bullet holes in his skull. Cause of death? COVID. Telling you, they do shit like that constantly. Everything. COVID. Because COVID.
It's only because the idiots will believe it.
Yeah. Well, because the outlets that feed them were this information is the outlets that our parents grew up watching that was a little more legit back then. Like the integrity of journalism was still around when I was a kid. And it died years after I graduated high school. Probably years after I got out of college. That's when it became corporate. When the 24-hour news cycle and cable and satellite news became a thing, that's when news went to hell. Totally. Because they don't send out gumshoe journalists anymore, right? What they do is they just wait for something to happen, then helicopter their ass to the scene and act like they're experts on it. Or even still, better yet, they'll just catch it on a pole cam and look down at it, and then they'll have a panel of experts, which is just other journalists talking to each other like an echo chamber. Anyway, there's that.
There is that.
I'm
God,
loading.
one of you guys come and mow my damn yard.
No. Did you get a tractor yet?
I borrowed my brother-in-law's, the one that sold me this one, because I can't get parts for it for a week.
So I'm going to be loading some 6.5 Arasaka today. I will try to record it. I will try to figure out why the last recording had jiggle like RF interference, even though I mounted my phone on a tripod with a gimbal on my Master Race iPhone 12 Super Pro Max 512 gigabyte badass. Like, it still had a jiggly video. I'm like, what the hell?
Gimbal's out of balance.
Well, I calibrate it every time I do it. It's just, I think it was because it was too near my window unit. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, you know what? I went to college for 3.5 years working towards my master's degree in psychology. And I finally get to apply some of that here by saying, oh, look, we're out of time for the day. So I'm going to play this little music here. I'm going to thank all of you guys in the audience for watching us because you got to let me indulge in talking about video games. And I'd like to thank all my panelists. We do this every Saturday between the hours of 10 to noon Central. And you can catch Tony and Jimmy on the early watch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays between 9 to 10:30 a.m. Central Time. So anyway.
Ish.
Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. We'll probably see you live next week, but I'll have another video out for you probably by the end of today. Later, y'all.